Hello guys, welcome back to TSBEC TV. Following on from the new cross member my Defender recently received, Gwyn Lewis has sent over a package of their mud shields, and what these are basically just bits of rubber, as far as I can tell, which are meant to cover up the vulnerable areas in the wheel arches on a Defender. So basically wherever it can spray into the cross member and the outriggers and so on, this should all cover that up so we don't get all that water and mud going in there, and ultimately protect the new cross member, which we spent a lot of time getting on. I think there's also some extended mud flap brackets in here as well, so we're going to take a look at the Defender and see what this is actually going to do. So we've moved on a couple of hours because despite the fact that I did my best to try and pressure wash all of the mud out of the wheel arches earlier, we discovered that there was still quite a lot tucked away in all of these corners in here. So we just took some compressed air, and as you can see, it blew out a lot of it, and half of it is on the floor, the rest of it I think is stuck to us now. But what these mud shields should do is cover up areas like this, as well as on the front side of the wheel arches and in the front wheel arches as well. So obviously we've taken the wheels off first, and this is basically what comes from the factory as a mud shield, and as you can see, it's pretty pathetic because it doesn't cover up the arguably most vulnerable part here, the cross member. And if you remember, this is brand new. Excuse the mud spraying out the other side, but this is brand new, so we want to cover that up and keep it looking like this for as long as possible. So there's going to be a new mud shield which is going to cover all of this up. That's going to be removed, I believe, and it should cover up everything from the cross member and up to the top. Likewise for the other side, and the same at the front. So now we need to figure out how to do that. So over here we've got what looks like random cutout bits of plastic, but each piece is fitted to a various part in the wheel arch of the Defender, as well as some new mud flaps here as well that was included in the kit, but we won't actually be using those because of course we've got the Tough Rock TSBEC TV mud flaps on, and then we've got some brackets. I believe one is brackets for actually holding these on somewhere, and the other one is front mud flap, extended front mud flap brackets to make them stick out wider and prevent spray. Apparently this kit differs as well depending on whether or not you have a Puma era Defender, because apparently they have different tubs, which I never knew.
So we just got the rear plates off, which is sitting in here, trying to cover up all the electrics that runs down here, and as you can see it's a bit harsh on them. This one was from the other side because the filler cap goes down right about here, right in front of it, so it's quite hard to get the angle grinder in there, but you probably have to grind these off because the bolts are rusty, and they'll pretty much do on any vehicle because the wheels are right here and they're going to spray mud and salt directly up on them. So cut those off. After that, give a bit of rust protection around it before you put on the new plate, and then we have to put in some clips, and then the whole shield was pretty much go from here and all the way down. Protect this bit here, which is also quite a vulnerable area on the cross members. Mud can get in here and in here, and just these holes will fill up, and that way you can't see it, but it will slowly tear down your vehicle. So next up, fitting the new ones.
So the rear mud shields are in, including the part that covers up the cross member, all looking lovely over there, and we're going to move on to the front of the rear wheel arch now. And of course we have the fuel filter right here on our TD5 and Puma as well, which means we're going to have to cut this one here, but the cut line has already been made there for us, which is very nice. So if you have a Puma or TD5, you're going to have to cut this piece off to make room for this, and then I believe we're going to be using some brackets to fit this one as well.
Now we've got the rear bits on, now we're moving on to the front ones of the rear arches, which is this big panel right here that goes onto this bracket we got on top. It's shown quite well in the instruction manual how to do it. Simply place it up against the other two pieces. Both of them got this little corner here. If you've got TD5 or Puma, you have to cut this bit out. It's also like pre-cut, so you can see where you need to cut it because the fuel filter sits here on the other side. Otherwise than that, they're completely identical. You place a bracket up here, you get this extra piece of metal here. Make it go all the way forward like that. It goes on the inside of the fender here, and that way you're just going to mark these 2 points here and drill them out. I think it's a 6.5mm drill bit. Drill those two out, fix those in there with the grease between the top and the brace itself. And after that you put this piece here, which goes in like that. You got for the TD4 model and the TD5 model, also shown in the manual. Put that instead of the normal brace which is in here. Take that out, put this galvanized one in instead, and these two holes are then for drilling in this piece of plastic to make sure that's also sturdy here from the back. So that sits in behind here like that and supports it that way. And after that is done, that is pretty much full coverage on the back here of where the wheel can actually spray mud up. So next up is drilling these two holes in here and trying to get the old one off, the old support bar here, and fitting the new one. Now we've moved on to the last kit of today, which is the front brackets here. What they will stop mud from entering right here at the footwell. You see the bulkhead starting right here, and we'll pretty much just block off this area. As you can see, goes all the way down to here. And here we got the piece. First need to take these two screws out, self-tapping screws, and you got some rubber plastic retainers in here. After that you just got the normal ones here where you push the middle pin out and pull it out towards yourself. And then this piece here is supposed to go in between the two metal brackets. You got one here and one right in here. So you pull this shield a bit out, the inner fender a bit out, and then slide it in between. You see the holes here? That one are supposed to line up on that one, just on the inside bit, to make it look very neat. And you can see in the cutout here that this bit is for the trailing arm. So this goes on this side like this. And then there's also in the instructions, you can choose to get, I think, 10 centimeters up here, and then cut it straight down to this corner if you don't want it like sticking a bit out underneath it. And after that, that's the bracket that goes across here where you can then attach your mud flap onto it. So it like becomes one big mud flap all the way from up here and all the way down to the ground. So we got these out with a impact screwdriver here, and this is, if your car is also 20 years old and you never had these screws out, this is a must to get them out. Pretty much just 3 or 4 taps each and you can start undoing them. And those are pretty much the only ones you need to get out. After that it's just fitting this guy and the bracket that goes across here. And then you might also want to cut a bit of this piece off here, but we got these, Liam got these for mud stuff, anti-splash thing, so we might just see if we can do it without cutting that bit, but we'll have to find out. So we are now done for tonight. We got all the plates installed. Which one do you think was the hardest one to get?
The front one. We had to slide it in between.
Yeah, you have to kind of like sandwich it in between the bulkhead and the already inner fender. You kind of have to get a screwdriver in there and kind of pry it up a bit. Same time you're hitting at the bottom to get it up. But everything, like the whole package, it all came in, was really, really nice. All the instructions, each individual instruction for each kit, which was really nicely made, and all the bolts and everything was there, all the holes lined up except for the ones on the car. We had one hole we had to drill up in the inner fender, but that wasn't a big deal at all. I would say in general that's a really awesome kit, especially if you go a lot of off-roading, want to watch out for your car. That's a really nice piece of kit, and install-wise was quite easy. It just took a long time to get all the old stuff off, and once you had all the old rusty bolts off, it was quite easy to install the new bits. So in the kit as well, you get brand new mud flaps, these heavy duty ones, actually quite heavy. We also know that it's only one of them that got holes in it, the other one haven't. We don't know what the deal is with that, but really isn't a big deal at all. But what we found was that in the instructions it said you need to cut your fender here to make sure that your mud flap can kind of like protrude out of it. But what we found is with these Tough Rock, really flexible mud flaps, you don't need to do that. You can actually just bolt it in as it is right here. As you can see, you get a nice seal goes all the way out across the fender here, so you actually get an extra about 20 centimeters of mud flap going all the way out here, which is quite nice. But if you were to use the old ones here, you need to know that you need to cut out this bit of the fender here, which also was in the instructions of it, but we kind of left it out because I thought these ones are quite flexible, so you should be able to do it. So if you're rocking Tough Rock mud flaps, no need to worry about cutting any fenders, they'll just stick straight on.
So to jump ahead a bit and finish off this video, I'll just show you how effective these mud shields really are. This isn't the easiest spot to film, being in the wheel arch. There's not a lot of light, but luckily we have a bit of sunlight shining on it at the moment, and please ignore that bracket there. That's the old mud flat bracket, which I still have not removed. But yeah, you can see how much mud that has stopped from getting into there in the chassis and the outriggers. So it's sort of self-explanatory in terms of what it does and how effective it is. And if we come to the back, this is probably my favorite bit. If I can get the camera to... Actually, there we go, it's not too dark. That bit there is covering up my brand new crossmember that was fitted this summer, so I'm rather pleased with that, because all of that mud would normally be flying into my brand new crossmember, and we have the same thing on the front side. This is going to be difficult to capture, I think, but maybe if I come in here, there we go. You can see the fuel filter housing on the left, and then we've got the mud shield on here on the front, and that is once again covering up this section. So you've got a bit here and a bit here protecting everything underneath, and then you've got a bit here covering up the cross member. This mud shield kit has very quickly become one of my favorite mods for my Land Rover Defender, or any Land Rover Defender, because we all know just how vulnerable these things are underneath, and especially for me around where I live and this time of year, just how much mud gets underneath. And that's not even from off-roading, that's just driving around dirt, farm and woodland tracks. So a really, really great mod for me to have, especially with my new crossmember. So big thanks to Gwyn Lewis for helping us out with this video. Please do go check them out, because they have lots of good products, and I'll do my best to put the links to the what we've installed in this video down in the description below. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.